Ever found yourself confused by all those fancy wine terms? Well, don't worry, you're not alone. In the next few minutes, we will break them all down so you can sound like a pro the next time you raise a glass. Number 1, tannins. Imagine sitting down to a big meal, like a juicy steak with creamy mashed potatoes. You've got a glass of red wine, maybe something like a Cabernet Sauvignon. As you take a sip, you notice how the wine cuts through the richness of the steak, balancing the fattiness and adding some extra depth to the flavor. That slightly dry, puckering feeling you get, that's the tannins at work. Tannins are like the backbone of a good wine, given it structure and depth. Without them, the wine would feel weak, like a cracker that falls apart in your mouth. Tannins come from grape skins, seeds, and sometimes even oak barrels. And just like people, tannins have different personalities. Grape tannins are bold and give the wine a strong structure, while oak tannins, especially from French oak, are smoother and add a subtle spice and elegance. Before we dive into the next term, why don't you turn on the bell by hitting that like and subscribe button? It's your path to more amazing content. Trust us, you'll be glad you did. Number 2, body. When you hear the term body in wine, don't picture some Instagram model sipping wine in a vineyard. Instead, we're talking about how the wine feels in your mouth. It's the sensation you get when you take a sip. Whether it feels light and smooth or rich and intense, that's the body of the wine. We usually talk about the body of wine in 3 main types: light, medium, and full-bodied. Light-bodied wines are easy to drink. They're smooth, refreshing, and light on the tongue. Wines like Pinot Grigio or Beaujolais are examples of light-bodied wines. When you sip Pinot Grigio, it feels crisp and cool, almost like a splash of fresh water. You'll taste a little bit of green apple and citrus, but it's never too strong or heavy. Medium-bodied wines are somewhere between light and full-bodied. They have a bit more weight to them, making them feel fuller in your mouth, but they're still easy to drink. For example, Merlot feels smooth with a bit more richness. When you take a sip, it's soft and round, with flavors of ripe plum and black cherry. It has a velvety smoothness that stays with you, but it's not too heavy. Full-bodied wines are bold and intense. Cabernet Sauvignon is a good example. These wines are rich in flavor and feel heavy in your mouth. When you sip it, the wine coats your tongue with strong flavors like dark cherry and blackberry, along with a touch of spice. The finish is long, leaving a strong taste that lasts after you take a sip. The body of a wine doesn't just depend on how it feels in your mouth. It's influenced by the ingredients that make up the wine. Alcohol, tannins, and sugar all play a big part in the body of a wine. First, alcohol. The more alcohol a wine has, the fuller it feels. Wines with higher alcohol usually feel heavier in your mouth. Next, tannins. These come from grape skins, seeds, and stems, and they're what give you that dry, puckering feeling in your mouth. Lastly, sugar. Wines with more sugar often feel fuller too, especially dessert wines like port or sauternes. Sugar adds a sense of richness and creates a smooth, velvety finish. Number 3, acidity. Imagine sipping a glass of Sauvignon Blanc from Barolo, New Zealand. The first thing you notice is that sharp, refreshing kick, like biting into tart green apple or squeezing lemon over salad. That's acidity in wine at work. It's what makes a wine feel fresh and lively, with a zesty pop that wakes up your taste buds. Acidity is one of the most important parts of a wine because it gives the wine energy and balance. Think of it like the backbone of the wine, helping everything stay in harmony. A wine with well-balanced acidity like Chablis, a French Chardonnay, feels like a cool breeze on a hot day, refreshing and crisp. It also helps balance the sweetness, giving the wine structure and a clean finish that leaves you wanting more. When people use words like crisp, sharp, or tart, they're talking about the acidity in the wine. Crisp refers to that fresh, clean feeling, like the zing of a chilled green apple. Sharp is that exciting, mouth-puckering feeling you might get in a Sauvignon Blanc, especially one from a cooler climate like New Zealand. Tart is when there's balance of sour and sweet, like in Riesling, where the zesty acidity blends with a touch of sweetness. Number 4, aftertaste, finish. Imagine sipping a Napa Valley Cabernet Sauvignon. The bold flavors hit your taste buds, and as you swallow, the taste sticks around for a bit, slowly changing. That lingering sensation is called the finish, and it's an important part of the wine experience. A wine with a short finish fades quickly, leaving you wanting more. On the other hand, a wine with a long finish like a well-aged Barolo stays with you, with its rich flavors unfolding as it lingers. This type of finish shows the wine's complexity and depth. But if the finish is too long, it can feel overwhelming, like eating a meal that's too rich. Wines with a finish that lasts too long or feels too heavy can feel out of balance. Then there's the clean finish, like in wines such as Sancerre. The flavor disappears quickly, leaving a refreshing feeling, perfect for light dishes or a hot summer day. The best finish is memorable, but not too strong. Wines with a lingering finish like Chablis leave a lasting impression without being overpowering, making you want another sip. Number 5. Aroma. Nose. When you hear the term nose in wine, don't think about someone's face. We're talking about the smells that come from the wine in your glass. The nose of the wine is important because it helps you understand the wine's character before you even take a sip. It's not just about what you smell. It tells you more about where the wine came from and how it was made. Wine aromas are usually divided into 3 categories: primary, secondary, and tertiary. First, think of the vineyard during harvest time. As the grapes are picked, you smell fresh, natural scents, like juicy berries, citrus, or even a crisp apple. These are the primary aromas, which come directly from the grapes. They give you a first impression of the wine and a clue about the grape variety. Next, when the grapes are taken to the winery and fermentation begins, secondary aromas appear. These are more complex smells like bread, yeast, or a bit of nuttiness. These aromas come from the winemaking process and give the wine more depth. Finally, as the wine ages, tertiary aromas develop. These are the richer, mature scents of leather, tobacco, or wood. They show how the wine has evolved and deepened over time. It's a sign of a wine that's had time to grow and develop complexity. The nose of the wine can tell you a lot about what's inside. A wine may smell amazing, even if the taste isn't perfect. But if the nose is off, the rest of the experience may not be great either. That's why paying attention to the aroma is so important in wine tasting. Number 6. Flavor. When you hear the word flavor in wine, it's not just about how it tastes, like your favorite snack or dessert. It's the full experience of what you feel on your palate. Not just the taste, but how it feels, how the smells interact, and how everything comes together to create a unique experience. The flavor is what makes wine tasting so interesting. First, let's talk about oaky. When a wine is described as oaky, it means it has aged in oak barrels, which give the wine some special flavors. New oak barrels add bold taste like vanilla, toast, or even a smoky flavor. Vanilla comes from certain compounds in the oak. Toastiness comes from the barrels being heated, and smoky notes come from charring the wood. These flavors add structure and complexity to the wine. Next, minerality is a term you might hear, and it can be a little tricky. Imagine standing in a vineyard surrounded by rocky soil. The smell of earth and stone is in the air. When a wine is described as mineral, it's like tasting that very feeling, a bit of wet stone or chalk. It's not just a flavor, but the feeling of the land where the grapes were grown. Some people think the soil directly impacts the wine's flavor, while others see it more as a poetic description. Either way, those mineral flavors give the wine a unique depth. Ever heard someone call a wine buttery? If you've had a rich Chardonnay, you've probably tasted it. It's that smooth, creamy feeling that makes the wine feel luxurious. This happens because of a process called malolactic fermentation. It changes sharp, sour flavors like green apples into softer, creamier ones. It's like tasting something rich and buttery. Some people love the smooth texture, while others might think it's too much, especially if it hides the fresh fruit flavors. Now, let's talk about earthy flavors. These can taste like forest floor, mushrooms, or wet leaves, giving the wine a natural, grounded feel. These flavors come from the terroir, which means the land where the grapes are grown. For example, a Pinot Noir for Burgundy might have these earthy notes, adding depth to the wine. Some people love these flavors for how they make the wine feel deeper, while others prefer wines with fresher fruit flavors. Finally, green flavors. You might find notes of bell pepper, basil, or eucalyptus in wines like Cabernet Sauvignon or Sauvignon Blanc. Green flavors can be a little controversial. Some people enjoy the freshness, while others think it means the wine wasn't fully ripe when picked. With these wine terms in your vocabulary, you're ready to explore the world of wine with confidence. Remember, every bottle has a story, and now you've got the language to enjoy it even more. Cheers to new knowledge and great wine. Don't forget to check out our last video, every wine pairing for every holiday explained in 12 minutes. And make sure to subscribe for more fun wine tips.